All right, I've been in the business a while now, and I've made some mistakes, some big ones, some dumb ones, some mistakes that have made me question what I did or why I did what I did. And today I'm going to help you avoid some of those mistakes. So grab your coffee, grab that tea-stained coffee cup, whatever you like, and let's have a quick chat on some of the mistakes that I made as a booth antique owner. Let's do it.
I won't pretend I ever found my way. I've made my healthy share of fair mistakes. Still learning.
All right. I've been in the antique business a while now. No, I don't have as much stature or years as some people have been doing it for like 30, 50 years. And I'll link those videos above, those specialists that I talked to. But I think I'm now in a good place where I could recommend things that you should not do in your first year of business or mistakes that I made. And I wanted to share them with you today on what not to do your first year in business if you're going to be an antique booth owner.
Had enough of chasing down the sun, but suddenly I can see everything.
Number one, overbuying on packaging. Picture this, you just set up your antique booth, you're overexcited, you want to buy tags, you want to buy stickers, you want to buy bags, things that you can, paper to cushion things and boxes and all these things. Well, it all sounds good, but it all eats into your profit, your bottom line profit at the end of the day when you go home, your take home. Obviously, you think to yourself, I need everything. I need everything right now because I'm in business. Well, if you're like me, you are also thinking costly or cost savings wise. And you think, okay, I'm going to buy it in bulk because I want to get the best deal because I'm going to be doing this for a long time. I'm committed to this, right? I'm going to start a business. So you buy in bulk. You buy a huge box of tags from Uline. You saw somebody had these tags. You thought these were great tags. But then after about 6 months of using them, you realize these tags are too big. Finally realized that after 6 months, writing your name on all these tags looks like a kindergartner's art project. And what are you left with? A huge box of tags. I'm still working on mine. I've been in business a year. I think I've only gone through half the box. I started cutting the tags because some of them are just too long. Obviously, you can buy a stamp, something that makes it easier to put your name on them. But at the end of the day, don't buy in bulk when you first start out your business. Buy a small amount, figure out what you like, and then buy in bulk.
Got no issues, it's kinda nice. Like running water into a paradise. Got no drama, feels like we arrived.
Okay, mistake number 2, choosing the wrong business name. Be very wise in choosing your business name. Thank God I didn't go with something crazy like Robbie's Resty Relics from Retro Environment, blah, blah, blah. Thank God I didn't choose a very long name. I chose a long name, but thank God I didn't choose that name, something extremely long. Keep it short, keep it sweet, and know that if you're going to choose a name that is not your own name, like Amanda's Mercantile or Grimes Collectique, then you're going to have to do a DBA, and that's more work. You're going to have to contact your local newspaper. You're going to have to do that cost to put it in there so you can have a DBA, so you can run your business as a name that's not actually your name. So keep in mind, if you name it something other than your actual name, you're going to have to do DBA, and that's more work. Thinking you can sell thrift store items at an antique store. Mistake number 3. Look, I'm like everybody else out there. I enjoy a good thrift store run. Absolutely. And in fact, when I first started my business, one of the first places I went all the time was a thrift store. There's one in Alum Rock, a Goodwill in Alum Rock, which I love. It's the only Goodwill that I will shop in this area, close enough to where I live in the peninsula in San Francisco area. And the thing is, The first year of business, I made the mistake of thinking I could fill my booth with thrift store finds and they would sell just as well as vintage. And obviously they have to be vintage to go into the vintage shop, but the quality, since you can find them in a thrift store, isn't as good. Well, it turns out the Goodwill stores aren't as clueless as they might seem they are. They're not. They use Google Lens, research, and if anything has any value, they put it on shopgoodwill.com. And they auction it because they know that there's a premium and people want that product, and they can have people bid against each other to get it. Unless you're the crazy lamp lady or somebody who does a lot of flips, like a lot of resell, and your inventory goes fast, and it doesn't matter if it's a larger profit margin, then sure, do a lot of Goodwill stuff. But my advice is go where the people aren't going to go. Go to the estate sales and dig. Go to the garage sales and dig. Go to the senior center events where they're, doing a garage sale. Go to the real estate agent who's clearing out a house and say, hey, can I take a look at the stuff in there if you're going to demolish it? Oh my gosh, I've once pulled off bells, doorknobs, iron soap holders and things like that from a house that was about to be demolished. And those are the best finds because those things are like easy 200 years old. And you get top dollar for them because you can't find them anywhere else. You can't even buy them online. So don't make the mistake of thinking you could sell thrift store items in your vintage booth. Mistake number 4, not having a bookkeeping system. All right, taxes, ugh. Bookkeeping, ugh. Not the fun, sexy stuff of owning a business. I don't care if you use QuickBooks, a spreadsheet system, the back of a napkin, however you want to write it down, just write it all down. Write down what you spend, where you go, the amount of gas you use, the mileage that you do, the cost of the inventory you're securing, when you bought it, what you spent on it. Halfway through my first year, I realized I quickly had no idea what I had spent. I had no clue whether I was even profitable. And that is not okay. If you're going to have a business, you got to be really serious about this. I was just buying great stuff, hoping for the best. Spoiler alert, that is a really bad business plan. I made a list here. Track your costs, your booth fees, your fees on Etsy if you're using a third-party platform or publisher. I would even go as far as to track your rent, track your trash, track your internet. Anything that you're writing off for your business as a expense, you need to track, and you need to track it well. I use QuickBooks. It works well for me, helps me also track my mileage better, which is one of the main pain points that I don't do very well. But trust me, your future self will thank you for doing this. It'll make your job so much easier at the end of the year when you got to do your taxes. Or even when you have to renew your business license, they ask you what your profits are. Mistake number 5, picking the wrong booth or the wrong antique store to have a booth in. Now, I wouldn't say this was a huge mistake of mine, but it's definitely very crucial if this is the business you want to be in. You have to keep in mind, not all antique malls are created equal, and they all have different rules, different contracts, different leases, different things that you have to abide by as a seller. Some have weird restrictions too. So you need to just ask those things up front. Obviously, that is the most common questions that you're going to ask, like, what kind of foot traffic do you get? What's your profit margin on a weekend? Or what's an average sale day like? What's an average month or a year like? These are all good indicators on if this is a good place to have a booth. But then you got to know the rules before you sign a lease or a contract. For example, my antique mall has a strict no smell policy. Or no scent policy. That means I can't even display soap. Imagine trying to build a beautiful aesthetic bathroom type setting for your booth so you can display the bowls, the containers, the things you want to sell and put soaps and things in, but you can't do it because they smell nice. Because there's a strict no smell policy in your store. Well, you should know that up front, because if you plan on selling certain type of items and you can't display them the way you want to, then you're going to have poor sell-through, right? And I would say, honestly, having a good appearance, making your space look luxurious and beautiful is so important to sell through that I would even bank that it's the most important thing. I've gone to plenty of antique shops where they have an array of stuff, good stuff, but it's not very organized well. It looks like a thrift store. It's hodgepodge of things. And it doesn't look good. And trust me, people aren't going to buy it unless it looks good, unless they can imagine it in their house. So pick wisely when you're looking for a booth, because it's probably the most important thing you'll do. Before you commit to a booth, know what you can and can't do in the booth. Can you sell scented candles? Can you sell soap? Can you sell postcards? Can you sell gum, candy? Can you make it a refillery? Can you do a lot of small things in your booth to generate, profit when your vintage or antique goods aren't selling? I've seen countless channels and people talk about, hey, here's a good way to make money for your booth so you make up your rent cost if the vintage items aren't going well or aren't selling. Well, if you're in an antique store like mine, that's not allowed. You can't sell other things that aren't antiques. So know those restrictions going in, and if you have enough inventory, and if you can still do it. Okay, last thing I'm going to tell you. Last mistake I made. Trying to keep up with the Joneses. This is something that I think every vintage retailer does when they first start on the business. They see something, they love it, they fall in love with it, they think it's fantastic, they want to sell it in their booth, but they're willing to buy it at a high price and then get no profit margin off of it. Well, cool for display, but at the end of the day, you're there to make money and a profit, and that's not going to make you a profit. I've definitely done it. I've definitely bought expensive inventory because I loved it, and instead of focusing on the profit margin. Now, I regret it now because the same energy and things that you'd put into securing that inventory, you could have put into buying inventory at a lower cost and selling it at a higher profit. It's so easy to fall in love with things, especially in this business, because antiques, you find things that are one of a kind. But if you're paying too much for them, then they're eating into your profits, period. And that's just bad business. So you got to wait until something comes along that's a lower cost so you can sell at a higher profit. The best sellers, like Rosa, the people who've been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years, it's interesting. I've seen them split on this. Some of them, they're dedicated and they say buy low, sell high. That is the start game and end game. Buy low, sell high. And then I talk to some sellers who say it's okay to buy some really expensive things, but you have to know that you can sell it at a very high cost. That's like Dan. I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't spend a ton on my inventory, but I don't spend pennies on my inventory either. But the thing that they both have in common, they buy low and they sell high. And they always make a profit. A good profit. I mean, Rosa sometimes makes 10x, 20x on her items. Dan sometimes makes somewhere between 3 to 4 to 5x on his profit. 3 to 4 to 5x on his items. And he's okay with that. It has to be what you're okay with and what you're willing to do for the amount of money that you want to make in a year. So there you have it. Those are my top mistakes that I've made in business, my first year in business. And I hope you guys don't repeat the same ones.